Hi, Jim. Thanks very much for joining us today.
My pleasure, Jimmy. I'm delighted to be here. It's morning where I am. I guess it's evening where you are.
Jim, I know you're bullish on gold. It's up 15%, give or take on the year, but Bitcoin, or what some call digital gold, is up significantly more. It's up over 60% on the year. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin's massive outperformance, and is gold a dying asset class?
Well, I wish I'd bought it. Obviously. Well, I've never bought or sold any cryptocurrencies. They've turned out to, well, scratch that. Many of them have disappeared and gone to zero. As you know, there were thousands at one time, and they're always cropping up every month. I have never played long or short any of them. Crypto has been a huge success. My view is that if it ever, as a trading vehicle, it's great for whoever knows what they're doing and is trading it. But as I say, many have disappeared, and many Bitcoins have disappeared. I don't know where they go, but somebody steals them or whatever. But if Bitcoin ever becomes successful as a currency, my view is that the governments will outlaw it as a currency, because governments don't want to lose monopoly, don't want to lose control. Again, throughout history, governments don't like other people controlling money, and they will make it illegal. Now, the crypto guys say, we're smarter than the government. Of course they are, but the government's got the guns. The government's got the tanks. Money is going to be on the computer, Jimmy. You cannot take a taxi in China with money. You cannot buy an ice cream. The Chinese are way ahead of the rest of us, but every country is now working on computer money, and it's going to be there, but it's going to be government money. It's not going to be your money and mine. And I would also remind you, some countries have already outlawed cryptocurrencies. India. Well, if you're sitting there with all your money in crypto money and the internet's closed, you're in a bit of a bind. So there are shortcomings for cryptocurrencies as well, and not just government actions, the world.
So I guess that makes a good case for gold and hiding it under your bed.
Well, I own gold and silver. I would rather buy silver than gold right now because it's cheaper on a historic basis. But Jimmy, I'm an old peasant. All of these politicians and academics say, forget gold, it's obsolete. Maybe, but us old peasants want to have some gold in the closet or under the bed when things go wrong. And so I presume that enough old peasants like me who will continue to buy gold and silver in case.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Jim. That leads me to my next question. Bitcoin was up 160% in 2023. As I mentioned earlier, it's up over 60% year to date. Gold's doing okay. It's at or near all-time highs. But with all this geopolitical risk happening throughout the world, with inflation at 40-year highs, record high debt levels, why isn't gold at $3,000 or higher?
Well, I'm a little surprised that gold is up almost 100% in the last 18 months. I don't consider that languishing. For those, silver's up more than 100% in the last 18 months. Yes, and compared to Tesla, compared to Bitcoin, of course it's not up as much. But I hardly consider 100% a languish in 18 months. But the answer to your question is, of course, there are many other things that are hotter and more exciting right now for many people. And I mean, what's the thing that was last week? GameStop, whatever that thing was called, where they had the short squeeze. It's much more exciting than boring old gold.
Jim, you just mentioned that you prefer silver over gold. Why?
Well, silver's down 45% from its all-time high. Gold is 10% from its all-time high. On a comparative, historic basis anyway, silver is much cheaper. And silver has many uses. I mean, solar energy, apparently solar energy is getting bigger and bigger. You need silver and many things. So silver is just cheaper. But if it were reversed, if gold was down 45%, silver down 10%, I'd say buy gold. Buy both, but more silver.
So silver is trading around $30 an ounce. The all-time high is $50 an ounce. Are you a buyer of silver at these levels?
No, I'm waiting. There's a correction going on. You know, India is a huge market for gold and silver, and a lot of those people, for a variety of reasons, are having troubles right now, so liquidating their gold and silver. But who knows? My timing is very bad. I told you, I wish I could time like Roy Neuberger could. I'll buy more gold and silver somewhere. I just don't know when.
Maybe the Indians are selling their gold and buying Bitcoin.
Maybe they are, and if so, hooray, 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 except India has made Bitcoin illegal. So, you know, they're brave Indians if they're doing that. I should say India has made cryptocurrencies illegal, not just Bitcoin.
Yeah. Jim, one of the other things that really stands out to me is that there are many well-known investors who are advocating for Bitcoin, Michael Novogratz, Michael Saylor, Paul Tudor Jones, but we really don't have anyone like that supporting the case for gold. What are your thoughts on that?
So what? I mean, yeah, Bitcoin has been a great success as a trading vehicle. There's no question about that. You know, some of the people you mentioned, I mean, at least Paul, you know, Paul's a fantastic trader. Paul is probably as good as, maybe better than Roy Neuberger was, because he's more multifaceted. But I mean, it doesn't. So what? I'll never be as good a trader as Paul Tudor Jones or Roy Neuberger. And if they find great trading vehicles, do it. Don't listen to me. But you ask about it. I'm just suggesting to you that if Bitcoin and the others become successful as money, they will be outlawed. But if they just continue as trading vehicles, as long as people can make money trading something, history would indicate they'll keep trading it. Most things, though, that people have traded constantly and forever have had ultimately some economic use. I mean, the Mississippi bubble, you know, 300 or 400 years ago, at least theoretically, there was land in the South Seas that you could speculate in. The tulip bubble, at least theoretically, you could take your bulbs and plant them and have tulips. So most things that have become great trading vehicles have eventually disappeared, if that's all they were. But maybe Bitcoin is going to go on forever, and cryptos as trading vehicles. As I say, if they become successful as money, I suspect governments, and the governments are already starting to outlaw them. And Jimmy, governments are all working on crypto money, computer money. As I said, in China, you can't take a taxi with money. They won't. They don't. I tried to buy an ice cream in Beijing. A woman couldn't say she'd never seen money. She was 19 years old or something. She gave it to me, the ice cream, in the end, because she didn't know what to do with money. I mean, now I have, you know, even I have money on my phone now, but it's government money. It's not crypto money.
Well, Jim, maybe then next time we speak again in 6 months or so, you might have a digital wallet with some Bitcoin in it.
Well, I have a digital wallet in the sense that I have money on my phone, as I say, but it's money which is governments recognize, not which governments say is illegal. I mean, I want to repeat, in India, cryptocurrency is illegal. Only 1 billion people in India. You know, China, it's illegal. 1.4 billion. So in Myanmar, they close the internet. Close the internet. What do you do if all your money's on your phone and the computer's closed? Texas electricity went down. What do you do if you're in Texas and there's no electricity and all your money is on is crypto money? I mean, maybe you have an answer. I don't know. I wouldn't have. I don't know. If I needed to go down to the shop and buy some bread and the electricity was down, I wouldn't have any money.
Well, I guess you wouldn't be eating very much.
I know I wouldn't be eating. I can go in and I can say to the guy, my money's here in my phone. He'd say, I'm sorry, sir. I need money in my cash register.
That's a very good point, Jim. What do you do if the power goes out? But like you said, you can't hold it in your hand and you can't buy anything with it.
Well, even if you couldn't hold gold in your hand, gold does have an economic purpose. I mean, it also has speculative purposes and it has jewelry purposes, but gold is also used in electronics, etc., as is silver. So even if women and men all of a sudden decide, oh, I can't stand gold jewelry, at least gold still has an economic purpose. Likewise, silver, as I said, solar panels. Silver kills bacteria. There are many uses for silver besides speculative purposes. I hope it doesn't disappear as speculative purpose because I own a fair amount of it. But even if it does, at least I can sell it to the solar energy guys and the electric vehicle guys. They need silver.
Jim, copper has also had a big move here in the last few months. What are your thoughts on copper? Do you like it?
Well, as I look around, commodities are the cheapest asset class. Bonds are in bubbles. Many stocks are forming bubbles, property forming bubbles. Commodities are still, I mean, silver's down 45% from its all-time highs. Sugar's down about 70% from its all-time high. I mean, commodities are the cheapest asset class, and copper's suddenly gone up. It's at a 7 or 8 year high. 7 or 8 year high. The Japanese stock market's at a 31-year high, you know. And if electric vehicles are coming, which apparently they are, electric cars use 5 times as much copper as regular cars. Electric cars use a huge amount of metals, you know, and in fact, for what it's worth, electric cars have a horrible environmental footprint because they have all this lithium and copper and other stuff, which has to be mined. And of course, you have to make electricity from something, but people don't really think about that. They just say electric cars are environmentally better than petrol cars, gasoline cars.
And lately, uranium has been performing very well. What are your thoughts on uranium?
Well, I own some uranium just because it got so unbelievably cheap. And uranium, speaking of environmentally friendly, uranium is very environmentally friendly unless it blows up, you know. But if you manage uranium energy sources properly, it's cleaner, cheaper, and everything else than certainly than gasoline and coal. So no, I own uranium, and I think America recently passed a law saying they were going to build uranium stockpiles. I mean, various things are going on to make uranium more attractive.
And China is also making a massive push toward nuclear energy.
Well, as I said, uranium is cleaner than just about anything else, and certainly more long-lasting than most things. So yes, the Chinese are building huge numbers of nuclear power plants. But again, I mean, Jimmy, if your power plant blows up, it's not fun. But if somehow you can manage it properly, and the history of nuclear energy is, of course, it has been extremely safe. And we can all name 3 or 4 examples where it was a disaster. But 3 or 4 out of the last 100 years, compared to what has happened, it's not such a bad record.
So you're bullish on copper, you're bullish on uranium, and you're very bullish on gold and silver.
Well, I own them, but you know, I'm not suggesting you run out and buy them today. You should ask Bloor Street Capital about short-term investing. Don't ask me.
Well, Jim, that was a great discussion, and I want to thank you very much for spending time with us today and joining us all the way from Singapore.
Been my pleasure, Jimmy. Let's do it again sometime.